Alex, the manager, calls me, and he goes, Byrne, get in here. Let's go. We're starting the show. I start running in, realizing, fuck, I got to bring this guy up. So I got to bring Dane. Oh, and when we're out there, Dane goes, I'll never forget this. He goes, you want to get our fans involved? I go, what? He goes, do you want to get our fans involved? I'm like, I have no fans. I think I just had a half hour. I have no fans. What are you talking about? Get our fans involved. I just thought, what a delusional kind of... Okay, so I got to run inside.
But the weird thing is that he wasn't delusional. He was executing power. That he knew that, his time was upon him. So he basically said, get out of my city, and I'm going to call my army, into operation.
Right. The Dane train was going to run me over.
Right.
So I run in. I gotta bring him up, right? And I'm sitting there. I'm like, fuck. I just had this kind of argument with him outside, and now I got to bring him up. Do I give him a shitty intro? Do I give him a good intro? Whatever. I don't think we shook hands because most comics you
were
shake
respectful.
Hands, I was being respectful, and I would look like a dickhead. I'd look like a dickhead if this guy sucks.
Yeah.
And the crowd would turn on me because he's huge. So whatever.
And he was huge by then.
He was getting huge.
Yeah,
I would say, and obviously he's done quite well for himself. Now the next day, I get an email from Barry Katz, our manager, a guy I worked with for 6 years, the guy who told me to move to California, and within a few months this happens. The next day I check my email, and it's an email saying that it's maybe a paragraph long, couldn't call me, paragraph long. Sorry, I can no longer tend to your needs as a client. I just had a second baby. I really apologize. I wish you all the best. It's something along those lines.
Right.
That's it. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Now, I can't prove.
Right.
I can't prove why Barry dropped me.
Right.
But the day after we have this argument at the Improv about me stealing his essence. Now I don't have a manager, and he bans me from doing Jay Davis's thing, and I can't do the Laugh Factory. I heard from a guy who used to manage there that Dane said, no, he's not welcome here. It's all hearsay. I can't prove anything, but it's just the stuff that came back to me again, and I'm not saying that he did that.
Right.
I'm saying it's just what I heard. So now I don't have a manager, and I'm sitting there and I'm stewing. And imagine, you're a young kid. I used to be able to do every club in New York City at any given time. You come to LA, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
And Dane's the big guy in L.A. right now.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, I was so confused because I just moved to L.A. too.
Right.
So I'm all fucked up. I didn't know what's going on. And it took me maybe like a year or two to kind of get over it, where I was just like, wow, I can't believe somebody would say those things or do those things to another human being.
I just think that the politics of it is very interesting. That you've got a guy who's got momentum. He's making other people money. He knows he's on the rise. He knows that he has this insane fan base. He knows that his ego is huge, and he's got a guy that is in the business of managing talent. And he decides to take to make your livelihood suffer.
And the ironic thing is that I did get to a place where I was like, you know what? In this business, at the end of the day, you always got to work the hardest for yourself. It doesn't matter who you have, what agent, what manager. You got to produce it, and you got to figure it out, and you got to be relevant. You got to keep writing, and that's when I started really kind of chiming in. And I got the hour special, then I got the second one, and now I'm writing this one. But when I was at the Comedy Store, this is maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I guess Dane was going to start working at the store. I guess he ran into Paulie. So a lot of the comics drafted up a petition they were giving to Mitzi, and I forget who it was that called me, but they said, everybody sign this petition. He's showing up there tonight because Mitzi's going to be there tonight to see him, to obviously pass him or whatever, but it's just one of those things you had to do. So, Byrne, you got to come because everybody knows you got to show up. I'm like, I'm not showing up. I'm not going to be there. I'm not signing a petition. I'm not going to stand in the parking lot with a bunch of other guys with their arms folded to ban somebody because it already happened to me. I don't like that happening to me, and I wouldn't want to do that to anybody else. Even if it's the very guy that did it to me, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
So you guys can go ahead, but I'm not part of this at all. And I remember I just stayed home, whatever, and that kind of was where that's when I kind of really was done with it.
Let it go?
Because it would bug me. I'd be at the Improv, and I'd see him, and I'd be like, oh, I want to, you know. And Neil Brennan actually talked me down one day, and he's just like, just get out of here, just leave. You know, it's not going to change anything. You're not going to do anything, and it would get me angry if I visibly see him. And now he could literally be in your front yard mowing the grass or having a lemonade.
For you. He's
hey,
Dane Cook, ladies and gentlemen. And what would you wouldn't feel anything? You'd be just like, hey.
I wouldn't feel anything. No, I mean there is a. You know, it depends if we had a conversation or whatever, and he lit a fuse. Yeah. I'd probably.
So even though, like in retrospect, you did all right for yourself. Clearly, it didn't diminish your career at all. No opportunities were lost, but he definitely tried to cripple you.
It made me work a lot harder. You know, because you know, for example, I was with Cats for years.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a half-hour special.
Right.
He drops me. I said, well, fuck it, I'll do it myself. I found out who books the half hours. I filmed a set at the Cleveland Improv, sent it in. Within 3 months, I booked my own half-hour special. I didn't have a manager. I didn't have anybody.
Look
I was
at that.
like, well, all right, that's all I need to know now.
Do you have a manager now?
Me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it took a bit to get over it. You know, it was just, it's kind of it was a mind fuck, I guess, because especially when you take in the fact that he was and probably is as big as he was, knowing that person was kind of doing these weird things that you're just like, wow, you got the whole world by the string, and you're worried about me. It's like I'm not trying to do anything, man. I'm trying to get up at Club Excess.
Yeah.
And you could go to Notre Dame right now for $50,000.
Yeah.
At the time, who knows how much a guy's making or whatever.
Right.
But it's just like that's
right.
For me, I couldn't get over that.
It's an abuse of power in the world of in the politics of the world that we live in. It's an abuse of power, and it comes from a megalomaniacal place, and it comes from a guy that was threatened, and it was Machiavellian. I think I'm using that word right. I hope I am.
I believe you are.
Good. And do you forgive him?
Yeah. If I saw him. Again, if I saw him, I'd be like, I'm fine. I'm doing my thing. I'm working hard. I got a great career. I got a great girl. My family's healthy.
Yeah.
I love my family. I love my friends. I got a great crew around me. So I don't think about that anymore. It's not something that, even when guys ask me on the road and stuff, I just wouldn't talk about it. I don't want to get negative.
Isn't that interesting? It still comes up. It's like Mencia and Rogan.
Comes up all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Young comics, that pop in. Hey, could I get a guest set, or the kid that's emceeing the week? These are the people that ask me about it because they listen to the podcast, they've heard the story. I don't know how they know, but I get asked about it all the time. I was just at Sirius Radio and they asked me about it. I'm like, I'm not gonna talk about it.
Well, it's interesting, like this whole essence idea, and in that it just to sort of couch it in that phrasing. I mean, everybody, like you said, it's like, look, we try to find our voice. Everyone gets influenced. And then, some dudes, I've seen many guys go through phases of styles,
right.
and, and whatever. But, for him to, to take that, to be I'll tell you, that's a great moment. I go up into the hills and, I put my energy out into this city, and this city gives it back to me.
That to me was the more fucked up thing than the essence thing, but it's something I always kept to myself. I never really told anybody about it, but I was like, well, might as well bust this open like a fine wine and let everybody enjoy this, please. But in terms of,
he takes a couple deep breaths and
in front of me, I'm like, where are the doves? What's going to happen here? Is Ashton coming out? What the fuck is happening here? And that's when I was like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
Great hanging. Good. Okay. Wow. Jesus.
Oh, God, that's great.